Batman versus Superman, Dawn of Justice,
Poopy
Ultimate
Town.
Edition. Carl's an idiot. That's
Poopy
what
Town.
that's what you guys need to understand. All the scoopers out there, you need to know I'm smart, Carl's stupid. That's all that can explain this whole situation. I'm smart, Carl's stupid. Say it with me. This movie's awesome.
If you like BVS, I couldn't think of anything but I should say.
Dude, it's like
it's
every
not good.
time I used to think like you too. The first time I watched it, I was like, dude, what the hell is this? And then every time I've watched it, I've liked it a little more. And this time I watched it, everything just like clicked with me.
Did you move it up?
Of course I moved it up. I moved it up to a 4.5. And I think next time I watch it, it'll be a 5.
No fucking way.
Dude, it's fucking
You're
amazing.
insane, dude.
It's a
You're talking
amazing
crazy
movie,
right
dude.
now.
No, it's incredible. I'm not even... you guys know I'm not lying about how I feel about a movie. If I watch some great movie that everyone thinks is great, I don't think it's good, I'm going to say I don't think it's good. And if I watch a piece of shit that everyone thinks is a piece of shit, but I love it, I'm going to say that.
Yeah.
And I'm not doing this to be cool or to be different. I just genuinely like...
Well, let me ask you this.
I kind of love this movie now.
Let me ask you this. How do you have it that high when you have Jesse Eisenberg's Lex Luthor in the movie?
Well, here's the revelation that I've come to.
Break it down for me.
With Jesse Eisenberg specifically. Everyone makes fun of him for his Lex Luthor portrayal, and I've come to a conclusion about it.
Okay.
Is it a good Lex Luthor adaptation? No. But is he a good villain for the movie? Yes. He creates a ton of great tension for the movie. He puts these characters in great situations to make for an entertaining movie. And his plans and his motivations are very clear. And you know why he's doing what he's doing. And
I actually don't remember why he wants to kill Superman.
oh, well, he goes into like a tangent about how like stuff about his upbringing and his dad teaching him about God and how
is that
he hates God and how Superman is the closest like thing that in this world to a God, and he says if God is all powerful, then he can't be all good, and if he's all good, then he can't be all powerful, and he's trying to show people that Superman isn't all good. And so that's why he sets up the fight between Batman and Superman. And Superman, obviously, like, I've always looked at these adaptations as, like, pretty bad for Superman and Batman. Like, why are they so dark? Why are they killing people? This isn't right. Batman does, like... he does brand people, which is pretty fucked up, because he's branding people that inevitably gets them killed when they go to prison. And I have said, like, I know what Snyder was going for with Batman, and he wanted to show a more broken down Batman that has lost his way and has resorted to killing if he has to because of the things that he's been through and because of the world that he lives in now. But we didn't see it happen, so it's harder to justify. So he's trying to drop us into this world that already exists when we should have seen a flashback. We should have seen something that led into this. Like, probably a solo Batman movie would have done that.
Yeah.
Started him at normal Batman, and he ends up broken. And then Batman v Superman happens. People would have been they would have been more open to the idea. But rewatching it, Batman doesn't kill many people at all, and he doesn't, to my knowledge, not counting nightmare sequences, because those are nightmare sequences and that doesn't count. He doesn't really ever use a gun. He uses a gun once, and he shoots this guy's backpack that has like gas in it.
Oh yeah.
But he never like shoots a guy directly, unless I missed it. But Superman specifically, like, never does really anything wrong in this movie. He's not like the dark Superman that I've always kind of envisioned him as. I don't think he's the best adaptation because of his Clark Kent side. Like, I don't think I don't think Snyder gave him anything to work with in terms of Clark Kent. They don't change his attitude, the way he talks, the way he acts. Like when you watch the old '78 Christopher Reeve one, he's putting on a show as Clark. He's clumsy and he's goofy and he talks like a doofus and
I was gonna say he
acts
talks
like a coward.
Different.
Yeah, he has bad posture. They change everything, and Cavill's Clark is pretty shitty, but that's not his fault. But anyways, Lex gets Superman by the balls because he kidnaps his mom, and he says, "You have to go kill Batman, or I'm going to kill your mom." And Superman goes there to the fight with Batman and doesn't even want to fight him. He's telling Batman, "Hey, you need to help me, like, get my mom, because Lex has my mom. Like, I don't want to fight you. We can figure this out." And then it's Batman, like, initiating the fight. And, like, he's kind of like, Superman's kind of forced into it. So the motivations become a little more clear. And you know why Batman hates Superman, because in the opening scene, he's seeing all these people that he cares about being killed by all the destruction from Man of Steel.
Yeah.
From, obviously, like, Superman didn't mean for any of that to happen, and it wasn't his fault, but him being here is the reason it happened. And from ground level, you can't see whose fault it was. You just know Superman's here and he's fucking shit up and he's getting people killed. And so the motivations become a lot more clear. I think visually it looks amazing, about as good as a comic book movie's ever looked, outside of the Batman, probably. Maybe like Logan. But it looks perfect as you know, visually. I love the score by Hans Zimmer and Junkie XL. I think the dialogue's pretty great too. I think there's a lot of interesting dialogue. The first half is like this cool, like, political drama about what if superheroes existed and what if these gods came down to Earth, and how some people would cherish them and, like, praise them and as a savior, and some people would condemn them and want them taken down. And I just think it's super interesting, and Lex really is like, I don't know, I don't really hate him anymore. I obviously they did a lot of weird stuff with, like, certain lines and and the whole, like, weird, like, mannerisms they gave him and the Jolly Ranchers and all that weird shit. But, like, in terms of his actual writing, like, when I think of a bad villain, I think, like, this guy is boring and isn't intimidating and doesn't service the movie at all. And that's not really what Lex is to me. I feel like Lex really pushes that movie forward really well and creates a lot of interesting, like, dynamics between characters. And the movie is about, like, is about relationships. Like, it's not like normal comic book movies when it's good guy versus bad guy. Like when you watch a normal Marvel movie, like even when it's okay, like Shang-Chi, it's like, it's so cookie cutter by the book. This normal guy becomes a superhero, fights a bad guy, he wins, movie over.
Yeah.
And it's like in this movie, it's so much, like, more unique than that. And it's a fight between these two characters that are both very complex but have the same goal in mind. And some people have a problem with Doomsday because it feels like he shows up at the end just because they need some big thing to fight, to team up against. But, I mean, Doomsday is there because he was Lex's backup plan if Batman didn't kill Superman. So that makes sense to me.
Well, it's one of those things, like, I think you just see it all the time. They always tease, like, two characters fighting each other, and at the very end they team up against a bigger threat. Like, that's always how it goes. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the reason why it kind of feels like a comp out, because, like, Batman v Superman, it's called Batman v Superman, and they fight and then they team up against Doomsday.
Yeah, but
you know what I mean? It's like what the Godzilla movies have done with Godzilla versus Kong and Godzilla X Kong. Like anytime you do a versus movie, they wind up just teaming up with each other at the end.
Yeah. I can sort of understand that complaint. I mean, I just feel like it would be weird if, like, they did a Batman v Superman movie and, like, one of them won. And one of them died or something. Like, that's just not going to happen. These are two good characters that you don't want to see either one die.
That's kind of why I thought it was weird to initiate Batman v Super. I thought it was weird when they first announced it. I thought it was weird because they hadn't done a Batman movie yet, and they also hadn't done like in Batman v Super, in like Return of the Dark Knight Returns, one of them wins, and that's why it's like such a crazy story.
Yeah, but
it's
that's also just a
adapt
one-off
that.
story compared to the beginning of a universe.
Yeah, but why would you use that as the beginning of your universe?
I think the idea was like, okay, we want to have Batman and Superman together in the Justice League, and obviously, like, Batman and Superman are best friends in the comics, but what if when they meet, they don't start off hitting it off as best friends, and they actually start off at odds and have to, like, work towards becoming best friends? Which was Superman's goal also with Superman, where he wanted to earn, like, he wanted Henry Cavill to become the traditional Superman that everyone knows versus, like, starting out as him. Which, you know, you can argue, like, part of what makes Superman so great is, like, he's always been a good person. And he doesn't have to become a good person. But it's not like Superman's evil in Man of Steel. Like, that's not at all true. But he has to kill General Zod, and some people don't like that. I just love Batman and Superman, and I love the characters, and I can really appreciate someone trying to do something different with them. And that doesn't always mean it's going to work. Someone can do something different with a character, and it can be a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Obviously, like, it's not an excuse.
Yeah, no, of course.
It's not bulletproof just because they did something different. But,
and you're not going to ever hear me complaining about the visuals from BVS.
Oh, dude, it's gorgeous.
The visuals from BVS are, I think, its biggest pro is the visuals.
Yeah.
That, like, when I think BVS, I think of coming in my pants visually. I think of my eyes just getting banged.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Everything just really, like, worked for me this time around. It's always been one of those, like, guilty pleasure movies that I turn on for fun because there's a lot of fun scenes, and now I just, like, am kind of fully embracing that I really like the movie. And one of the most notorious scenes from the movie is the Martha scene, which everyone hates, and I love it.
Why do you think I'm going to ask you, why do you think it works? And then I have something else that I want to follow up with.
I think it works because this fight, like, is Batman who's lost his way. He's been consumed by this anger, and he's about to murder Superman. Like, all he's had his mind on is, like, this guy's a god. If there's even a 1% chance that he can turn on us and kill us all, I have to take it as an absolute, and he has to be eliminated. And he's about to kill Superman, and Superman says, "You're letting him kill Martha." And then all he knows of Martha, like, the second that Superman says Martha, he thinks of his mom. He's like, why the fuck did he just say Martha? Like, what is going on right now? And then he's like, save Martha. And he goes, why did you say that name? And people make fun of it. And, you know, they're welcome to do whatever they want to. But I feel like people like to make fun of it instead of actually, like, thinking about it. Like, thinking about what the scene means. And what it is it's grounding Batman back in reality. And he goes, like, A, this is someone's son that I'm about to kill. And B, like, Superman's asking for his help to save his mom. And he's going, I can help save someone else's mom since I couldn't save mine. And it almost gives him, like, a feeling of redemption to go help save Clark's mom. And gives him, like, this feeling of catharsis. That's kind of how I take it. And I don't see anything, like, I feel like it's actually, like, pretty smart. Like, a pretty smart idea to have that be what stops the fight.
I think it's
and connects these two people that are going to be best friends.
Yeah. I think people make fun of it because, like, it's weird that he would automatically think he's talking about his dead mom who's been dead for a while.
But that's, like,
no,
that's what I would do. Like, if I'm Batman and someone says, like, I'm in that exact spot and someone says my mom's name, I'm gonna be like, why did he just, like, what is he talking about? Why did he just say my mom's name?
Well,
And then,
I would think like, what is he talking about? I wouldn't be like, oh, like, he could be talking about my mom
but
who's been dead for 40 years.
but his Bruce's parents being killed also consumes his life, and he thinks about it way more than he needs to.
It does, but does he like freak out anytime he encounters another person named Martha or Thomas?
No, but
Like, there's other people with those names, and Batman's also extremely smart. I'm saying I like what you're saying better. I'm saying I think that's why people make fun of it. I think that's why people make fun of that sequence.
I don't know. I mean, I really don't know why people make fun of it.
That's the only reason. That's the only thing I can think of. But another thing that we brought up though while you were watching, I can't remember if it was Justice League. It's been a while since I've seen Batman v Superman, and I haven't seen the Ultimate Edition. Maybe that will open some runway in my mind.
It does help. It is a better movie. The Ultimate Edition's a better movie.
Yeah, so maybe I need to give that a look. I kind of need to just erase what Lex Luthor is supposed to be like from my head, because he's a big annoyance for me still.
If you're comparing him to like comic book Lex, you're going to be like, why'd they make him so weird? What's going
I've got to go in there and not really think about him as Lex.
Dude, I swear to God, I will watch Batman v Superman tomorrow. I fucking love that movie.
Dude, I'm gonna rewatch it. I'm gonna rewatch it.
Let me know when you want to rewatch it, because I'll watch it again.
My next thing I wanted to bring up, and again, it's been a while since I've seen Batman v Superman, and I might have brought this up during Justice League, but it obviously he's going for a darker Batman, and you know he's been through a lot. He's emotionally broken, and he's lost his way. But it seems like anytime he's not in the costume, or it seems like there's moments where he's just like normal Batman.
What do you mean?
Like when he's like Bruce Wayne talking to people, it seems like he's just like I feel like that would trickle down through his entire being. Like if you're fucked up psychologically, like even the in between you is going to be different. You know what I mean?
He doesn't really have many scenes as Bruce, and I mean, most of the scenes are like him out. Like he goes to this function that Lex Luthor throws because he's trying to get, he's trying to figure out how to steal the kryptonite from him, and so he's turning on his Bruce Wayne mode because he has to put on a disguise, which is him acting. So there really isn't many scenes of him like at home, like to where you could really even tell.
I guess I kind of feel like this is gonna sound dumb, but I kind of feel like he would be almost like more like the Batman as like Bruce Wayne, like kind of disassociated from people after having like lost everything and broken down to that point where he doesn't really care about like human life anymore.
Well,
you know what I mean?
The thing is, in BVS, there isn't much time with Bruce. So, like, I can't really say you're right or wrong, because he could be, like, really, you know, dark and battered and fucked up, and we just don't really get to see it.
Uh-huh.
Because there isn't really much of him. And then in Justice League, the idea was that Superman brings back his humanity. So in Justice League, he's a lot more like more himself, and he's been kind of rejuvenated by Superman.
Did you feel that way by the end of BVS?
Well,
like that he was back to normal?
I mean, yeah. I mean, in Justice League, he feels like pretty normal.
Yeah, I'm saying, but by the end of BVS, like, is that the path you saw him on by the end of the events of BVS?
Probably, yeah.
I just feel like it happened quick.
I mean, that's an argument you can make, but I don't know. I mean, like, spoiler alert for BVS, but Superman dies, and at the funeral, he's talking to Diana, talking about it's the Justice League setup, and he's saying like, there's a war coming and we've got to find more people, that can help us. And he said, I failed him. He's talking about Superman, and he's like, I failed him in life, but I won't fail him in death. And then in the opening scene of Justice League, he's trying to recruit Aquaman, and he's talking about how Superman died by his side and how it needs to mean something. And I feel like that was the idea, was Superman kind of shows him how to be human again.
I do think it is a cool idea that Batman is hostile to Superman and that he views him as a threat, even though he hasn't been one like he could be. Mm-hmm. And that's very Batman, is to be hostile towards anything that could potentially cause problems.
Yeah.
Overly cautious, overly worried about stuff. Mm-hmm. And I mean, that was a storyline in the animated series too.
Really?
Him having a plan to dispose of any of the members of the Justice League just in case. And they were like, "Oh, it's fucked up. You got a plan for all of us except for yourself." And he was like, "Well, you would eliminate me."
Mm. Yeah. So yeah, everything just kind of works for me. And then when I turn on Justice League, which is my next, also the Ultimate Edition, I think the main thing the Ultimate Edition does that helps the movie is it gives more background into why Clark is hostile towards Batman. It's him going to neighborhoods in Gotham and asking the Gotham citizens about Batman.
I think that's what I need.
He's hearing these firsthand accounts of people saying he's scary and he's hurting people and they're all terrified of him.
Yeah.
So he sees him as a villain, someone bad.
Yeah.
And that helps a lot, because if you don't have that, then you're why does Superman hate him?
Yeah.
What's the problem here? So yeah, I think the Ultimate Edition helps a lot. And when I turned on Justice League, which is the next thing on my watch list, it really hit me how different BVS is, because I went from BVS to Justice League, and Justice League is good. I gave it a 4-star. I still think it's a good movie, but it fits into the mold of the typical comic book movie, and we're back to MacGuffins. And 3 hours of that movie is the Justice League trying to stop Steppenwolf from getting all 3 mother boxes.
Yeah.
And I was like, why can't, I wanted another movie like BVS where it was more about characters and less about this MacGuffin that we're all chasing.
Yeah.
And Steppenwolf sucks. I don't give a fuck about Steppenwolf, and I think he's boring. And
it feels very Deathly Hallows 1 almost, because you're constantly getting cock teased about Darkseid, and then you never get him.
The villain just should have been Darkseid, which I know this was supposed to be a part 1, and then Zack Snyder wanted to make a part 2, which would have had Darkseid in it. So, that's why he teased him and didn't use him.
Yeah.
But which sucks that we'll never get that, but it's also
I also remember really, aside from Batman and Superman, the only character with anything to grab onto was Cyborg. I think, if I remember right, the Flash is just a straight up bad character.
No, the Flash is a lot improved in the Snyder cut.
Okay. I remember him his whole power is running and he can't run.
No, he can run.
He can, but he falls over every 5 seconds.
Well, he doesn't fall over. He gets shot one time.
I remember him falling a ton for some reason. Or running into shit. Or fucking stuff up. And I know that he's supposed to be the comic relief character. I don't think Ezra Miller's funny. I think Ezra Miller sucks. But I don't know. I feel like they could have done cooler stuff with the Flash. Aquaman's just partying. I mean, he's just having a good time.
Aquaman doesn't have anything to do in the movie.
Yeah,
he has no storylines really at all.
Yeah. He's just there for the ride.
It is too long. I mean, I do feel bad saying it's too long, because I'm happy that Zack Snyder got to actually put out his full vision, which is awesome. But it does really feel like some of the scenes aren't necessary and pads the runtime. And the ending's like pretty awesome. But it just feels like a normal, like BVS feels like something special to me, like something we won't, like something very unique that doesn't come along often. And then Justice League just feels like another comic book movie, like another solid comic book movie.
Yeah.
And I mean the what's it called when he reverses time? Flash. Time Force. Speed Force.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Speed Force scene is cool.
I do really like the Speed Force scene.
And the character development's a lot better. You know more about Cyborg and Flash, and it does make the movie better. But there is a lot that
the nightmare sequences are. I don't like them.
I mean, those are in BVS.
Yeah, I don't like them. At least with BVS, like it's pushing towards the conflict between the two.
Yeah,
but
it did make me realize like how much Zack Snyder actually like planned out, because the nightmare sequences are. The idea is that that's when Superman turns evil.
Yeah.
And like there's an apocalypse because Superman's turned bad and nobody can stop him. And so that was in BVS. Like that was his plan for really late in the series. Like way after Justice League, he was supposed to, maybe even part 2. I don't know exactly when he was going to do that, but he was setting up the storyline where Superman turns bad and like everyone has to try to stop him. But in Batman v Superman, there's a scene where the Flash shows up and from the future and is warning Bruce that the key is Lois Lane. And he's warning Bruce, don't let Lois Lane die, because her dying is how all this shit happens in the future, this apocalypse. So, like, the foresight that he had to put that scene in Batman v Superman before he made Justice League, which is way before he would have done any of that storyline.
Yeah.
Like, he really did plan out, like, he had a plan for what he was going to do, and he did lay the groundworks for it, which is really cool. And it sucks that we didn't get to finish it, but I do think it's for the better. I don't think general audiences cared about his universe, and those movies stopped making money. Like, not his movies necessarily, because his last theatrical DC movie was Batman v Superman, which did all right. But like Wonder Woman 84 and Black Adam and The Flash, all those movies like flopped.
Yeah.
And I know he didn't make them, but
that
if the movies that like if they're only making money when he makes it, that's not a profitable franchise.
Yeah.
Like you have to have most of the movies being profitable. So I get why they didn't keep it going. And I don't think that like the Snyderverse is some perfect thing that like you can't cancel.
Yeah.
You know, like I there's some standout movies, but overall I think it was the right decision to.
Where do you
like,
land on Man of Steel while we're talking about the Snyderverse?
4 stars.
4 stars?
Yeah.
Okay.
So BVS, out of that Snyder trilogy, BVS is my favorite.
What do you go, BVS, Steel, Justice League?
Probably Justice League over Man of Steel.
Okay.
I think Man of Steel is a pretty good movie, but it is a little frustrating as a Superman movie.
Yeah.
Because there's so many things that don't feel Superman. Like Pa Kent telling him he should have let kids die.
Yeah.
That's just not exactly something Pa Kent would say.
That could be why I'm so hard on the movies, just because I love Superman so much that like I have a hard time detaching from what Superman like is and what makes like the character special. But I don't know, maybe I'm gonna do a DC a Snyderverse run through, not
just the trilogy,
not Wonder Woman, not Wonder Woman and stuff. But I'll do Steel, BVS, and Justice.
Yeah, that's a good like trilogy to rewatch. Yeah. They're all good. But yeah, I gave Zack Snyder's Justice League a 4. It's still good, but it is really long, and there's not really many moments where I'm like, you know, edge of my seat, like, oh, this is the fucking shit, you know.
I get hard when Superman shows back up. Gets me hard.
Not impressed. Isn't that from the comics? That line?
I don't think so.
Oh. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
I know when he goes, Kryptonian, I was like, hell yeah, dude. You're about to get your shit fucked.
When does he say that?
Steppenwolf?
Steppenwolf.
Yeah, Steppenwolf says that, yeah.
Hell yeah.
When fucking Superman shows up, wrecks his fucking life, dude.
Yeah. Dude, he beats on Steppenwolf for like 5 minutes straight.
Yeah.
And like the portal opens up and they start looking at Darkseid, and he's just sitting there fucking wailing on Steppenwolf.
He's giving him the business, dude.
Yeah, and like Cyborg is handling the mother box, trying to, you know, destroy all of them, and he's just still standing there just wailing on him.
You can fucking catch these hands 24/7, 7 days a week.
No giving up right there. He was nonstop pounding on Steppenwolf.